I gave 3 different AI models the exact same job. Write me a Minecraft shader pack from scratch. Every line of code. No downloading one that already exists. Same prompt for all 3. Same clock. One after another. And I dropped whatever they made straight into my game to see if it would even run. And here's what got me. The one that won spent what felt like 40 minutes doing nothing but fixing its own broken code just to get the shader to load. And it still wasn't good. So you can imagine how the other 2 went. Same prompt for all 3, and it was pretty specific. I wanted God rays coming down through the clouds. Volumetric clouds, the big chunky 3-dimensional ones, not the flat painted on kind. Puddles on the ground after it rains. And I told all 3 to make the whole thing look like Bliss, which is basically the gold standard if you want Minecraft looking unreal. People spend ages getting a pack like that right. These 3 got 1 prompt and a countdown. Then I had 1 rule for myself while judging. Forget how pretty it looks for a second. Can I actually play with this? Because a shader that looks amazing but leaves you blind in a cave or lagging out of your mind is useless to me. So ChatGPT is up first. And honestly, it started rough. Like, nothing worked rough. I'd take the files it wrote, drop them in, boot the game, and it would just throw an error and refuse to load. So I'd send the error back, it would rewrite something, I'd try again, and it would break somewhere else. And this kept going. I sat there watching the timer bleed out while this thing did nothing but chase its own bugs. It would fix one error and immediately trip over a brand new one 2 lines down, over and over, and the countdown just kept dropping the whole time. It felt like 40 minutes of pure error fixing before the game finally loaded without crashing. And when it actually booted, my first reaction wasn't even excitement, it was relief. Just, okay, good, at least the thing runs now. But there was a catch. By the time it finally got the pack to run, the clock was almost dead, so I only had time to squeeze in 1 small round of tuning. And the final version had 2 real problems. Remember the God rays I asked for? It never figured them out, not even close. I could not get those light beams to show up no matter what I tried. And the bigger issue, once everything was loaded, the whole thing lagged so hard that the second I looked up at the sky, my FPS fell off a cliff. Just tilting the camera up turned the game into a slideshow. And I want to be fair here because it wasn't a total disaster. Down at eye level, the world was lit, the water was fine. Nothing was broken in a way that screamed at you. It was a real working shader. It just wasn't the Bliss-looking thing I asked for. There were no God rays anywhere, and the lag made it kind of miserable to actually fly around in. So round 1 is basically one AI burning almost its entire clock just to reach the starting line. It never got to the fun part, the part where you push the God rays and the clouds and make it actually look like Bliss, because it spent nearly all its time just trying to get the thing to run at all. Frustrating to watch, but weirdly relatable if you've ever modded anything. And real quick, if watching AI confidently break its own code in real time is the kind of thing you're into, do yourself a favor and subscribe, because the next one actually caught me off guard. Round 2, Claude. Same prompt, no hints, nothing about what ChatGPT did. And Claude took its sweet time. It worked, and at one point it straight up ran out of credits in the middle of the job, so I had to sit there and wait before it would keep going. So going in, I'm thinking, okay, all this time, all these credits, this had better be worth it. First version, and my honest reaction was, some of it was rough. The caves were completely dark, not moody, just black. I could not see a thing down there. Same story at night up on the surface, pitch black, like somebody flipped the lights off on the entire world. And the water looked a little weird and buggy at first too. So I sent it a fix. Brighten this up, sort the water out, and hit the stuff I actually asked for. And this is where Claude turned it around, at least in spots. The volumetric clouds it made were the best of any AI all day. Big, chunky, properly 3-dimensional, exactly the kind I asked for. And the puddles. After it rained, the puddles sitting on the ground looked really great, way better than I expected out of any of these. It brightened up the nether too. For a minute there, I actually thought Claude might take the whole thing, but it couldn't close it out. The God rays? Same as ChatGPT. It never cracked them. Those light beams just would not show up. And even after the fix, the caves and the nights were still too dark to actually play in. So this is the strange thing about Claude. It made the single best looking pieces of the entire day, the clouds and the puddles, and it still couldn't turn them into a shader I could actually use, because half the game was pitch black, and the one effect I wanted most was nowhere to be found. Last up, Grock. And I'll give Grock one thing right away. It was fast. It didn't sit there for ages burning credits or chasing 40 minutes of errors. It just went, did its thing, and handed me a pack pretty quickly. So for a second I thought, okay, maybe fast is the move. Maybe this is the one that just gets it done. Nope. The result was rough. And the strangest part was that it barely felt like Grock changed anything at all. I dropped the shader in expecting the game to look different, and it mostly just didn't. It went through the motions of making a shader without actually making the game look like it had one. Whatever it did, the effect was so small it was hard to even tell it was switched on. I actually double-checked that the pack was even loaded, because the game looked almost exactly like it did with no shader on at all. And then there was the one thing that actually broke. The leaves. You could see straight through them. I'd look at a tree, and the leaves were see-through. So instead of a solid leafy tree, you got this weird, gappy, half-there mess. It just looked wrong. Trees are not supposed to be windows. So Grock was fast, and that is the entire list of nice things I can say about it. It didn't do the God rays, or the volumetric clouds, or the puddles, none of the stuff I actually asked for. It barely registered as a shader at all. Dead last. No contest. So let's rank these. And before I do, I have to be honest, because not one of these three gave me the pack I actually asked for. None of them looked like Bliss. And here's the big one. Not a single AI out of all three could figure out God rays, the one effect I wanted the most, and all three of them just ignored it like it wasn't even in the prompt. So this ranking isn't who nailed it, it's who got closest. In last place, Grock. It was fast, and that is the only good thing on its list. It barely changed the game, the leaves came out see-through, and it didn't touch a single thing I asked for. Easy last. Second, Claude. And this one is frustrating because Claude made the two best-looking things of the entire day. The best volumetric clouds, and puddles that actually looked great. If this was just about individual effects, Claude wins going away. But that's not the test. The test is whether I can actually play it. And with Claude, half the game was still pitch black. Gorgeous clouds don't help me when I walk into a cave and go blind. So Claude made the best pieces of anyone, and I still couldn't play the thing, because I was blind half the time. And first place, ChatGPT. And look, it wins kind of by default, and I'll say that right to its face. It spent almost its whole clock just fixing errors. It never got the God rays either, and it lagged so hard by the end that looking up at the sky wrecked my frame rate. But at eye level, it was the most complete, most functional pack of the three. It held together. Nothing about it was gorgeous, but it was the closest thing to a shader I could actually load up and use. So it takes it, mostly because everybody else came up shorter. And that's the whole story with AI shaders right now. Ask for a specific look, like Bliss, with God rays and big volumetric clouds, and what you get back is bits and pieces. One of them nailed the clouds, another one just barely held together, and not a single one gave you the full thing. The flashiest feature you actually want, the God rays, none of them could even attempt it. They can fake a nice moment. They cannot yet build the whole pack. So now I want you to decide what happens next. Drop a comment and tell me which AI models I should throw at each other, and what I should make them build. Another shader battle until one of them finally gets it right? A full mod from scratch? Something way harder? Whatever I see the most of down there is exactly what we're doing. Go.